UN News.
So, Collin, what? What's up? Oh,
go ahead.
Collin, I brought this for you because you kind of called this a while ago, you know.
Yes.
So, but this happened 8th of September, so everyone kind of missed this, right? In the last couple of weeks, right? But this is from Middle East Eye, and they write about how Gaza is a direct result of the Balfour Declaration, which we've talked about, right? Palestinians petitioned the UK.
Well over a year ago.
Well over a year ago, so go back into the coffers for that one. But UK is being asked for reparations over the historic crimes. So delivery of a 400-page legal document authored by leading lawyers and historians marked the launch of Britain Owes Palestine campaign. So
I don't mind reading this since you played.
Sure. Yep.
So
I'll let you take it then.
All right. So this was written by Daniel Tester, where he writes, a group of Palestinians have served a legal petition to the UK demanding acknowledgement of British crimes in Palestine between 1918 and 1948. Drafted by two King Council's lawyers, the 400-page legal document says it records incontrovertible evidence that Britain breached international law standards applicable at the time. The petition presents 7 requests to the UK government, including issuing a public apology in the House of Commons and investigating potential reparations for the Palestinian people. Filed to the government on Sunday night, the document is addressed to British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper, Defense Secretary John Healey, and Attorney General Richard Hermer. As a formal request to the government based on the detailed legal analysis, the government is legally obliged to respond to the petition or could face High Court judicial review proceedings. Britain has long faced criticism for its historical role in the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestine. In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, vowing to create now here's where I kind of called it out back then, a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, despite the overwhelming majority of the population being of non-Jewish origin. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict was made in Britain. Professor Avi Salam, St. Anthony's College of Oxford. So this was the point I was making back then in the language where it says a national home. It's not definitive. It's not the national home. So even in the declaration, it says Israel did not have to be in Palestine. It could have been anywhere really that they wanted. It was merely a suggestion in the case of A. So, but, as we said back then, we argue that Palestine wasn't necessarily Britain's to give away either. So that was kind of the thing that I called out back then.
Right.
And as you have kindly said, this probably would be a stand for Palestinians to call for reparations. Now, granted, I didn't think this was going to happen this quick.
Yeah.
I figured it probably would be happening maybe at some point in the future when, I hate saying it in this way, when I hate saying this, but
right.
when
Israel completely occupies it,
eradicated,
right,
and there'll be a call for reparations then. But at least, there's calls for it at least right now, it seems. So let's continue. According to the declaration, nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. Following the defeat of the Ottoman Empire in the First World War, Palestine was overseen by a British mandate from 1920 to 1948, during which time the petitioners said British conduct amounted to war crimes and crimes against humanity. Leading Israeli historian of the conflict, Professor Emeritus Avi Salam, is a co-contributor to the document, along with the International Law Academy's Professor Emeritus John Wigley and Dr. Victor Catan. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict was made in Britain, Salam told Middle East Eye. The tiny Zionist minority was enabled by Britain in 1917 to embark on the systematic takeover of Palestine, a process that continues to this day. Selene emphasized that historic British foreign policy, as well as ongoing support, holds significant responsibility for Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza, which at least 66,000 Palestinians have been killed since 7th of October 2023. The current war in Gaza is the direct result of the Balfour Declaration, Selene said. Britain has always supported Zionist settler colonialism, which has always been expansionist. And today that movement has reached its cruel climax with Israel, Britain's protege, perpetrating genocide in Gaza and ethnic cleansing of the West Bank. The legal petition focuses both on the particular abuses committed by Britain in mandatory Palestine and the illegality of Britain's overarching occupation and partition plans. This petition represents the first time in British government has ever been called to account for being in Palestine unlawfully, where its tenure had no legal basis, explained Quigley. It proclaimed itself under a League of Nations, which was a precursor to the United Nations, mandate system that required it to have territorial title, which it did not have, Quigley elaborated. So really, the entire British enterprise was unlawful, not only the particular atrocities it committed. So,
That's it.
but yeah, that's it apparently. So, I mean, as you said, it'll be interesting to see, like, what are they calling for in order to atone? Well, Britain to atone.
Right.
That's the point of reparations, is to right a wrong, in simplest terms. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they determine is how can they make the situation right for Palestinians. So unfortunately, that's not mentioned, but it would be interesting to kind of follow up to see what is being proposed, that what their reparations would entail, and I will see the bullshit that Britain will kind of put up with to kind of say, now we're not doing this. So
Right.
only saying that because that's what they're doing right now in reparations for Caribbean people in the West. So your thoughts, since you brought this for me, essentially.
Well, I'm trying to find, like, I'm looking for the link to the actual, like, legal document,
Mhm.
and when I find that, I'll let you know. But I am curious to see what they're asking for as far as, like, the reparations,
Sure.
But I mean, we could take guesses all day, The only thing I'm worried about is that this is kind of like you alluded to at the beginning, where it's like you hate feeling like this is done, like, and we're wiping our hands with it and going, all right, let's sign the check and move on, So
Right.
But because they've already talked about, and we've talked about this before, how they're supposedly willing to give Palestinians 2,000 and rent assistance and all this other shit just to,
Right.
like, be pushed out. So that's the only thing I'm a
Right.
bit worried about, But
I mean, it doesn't. Well, again, the implication is it doesn't sound like that's what they want, or at least that's
right,
what they're proposing. But it'll be very interesting to see. I'm also kind of curious to see. Unfortunately, like in terms of like what's being covered in the news right now, obviously, I'm glad you pulled this up, but it's not going anywhere
yeah,
right now. This is going to be buried in the news cycle if it's going to be talked about at all. But it'll be very interesting to see. It'll be interesting to kind of hear from Palestinians what they want in terms of, obviously they want liberation, like
yeah.
an
Like,
actual,
some military
like,
support might be part of this if you
right,
play your cards right,
right.
you know.
But I am curious to hear, because we don't hear from Palestinians necessarily what they desire.
Yeah,
Obviously, we hear of Israel's side, but we don't hear from Palestinians what they are looking for. So it would be very interesting to see if what they're proposing in terms of this case kind of aligns with what Palestinians in general are looking for. But I think
Right.
this is kind of the first step. I think in their minds of being like, to actually kind of push the idea that what is happening is a genocide. But the reason why the genocide is occurring is due to issues that were made in history, not because of October 7th when, Hamas, struck back against the Israeli government. So that I'm kind of glad that they're actually kind of calling out. Well, two things that they're actually calling out that no, this has been a thing since uh, well 1917. But then the idea also that they're calling out this is a Zionist issue, like this is a Zionist occupation that has infiltrated the UK, that has used the religion to hijack basically like hijack the religion to basically do illegal land theft. So
Right.
that's what I do appreciate from this is that they're calling out the root of the issue. Now, it's whether or not England is going to go for this, probably not, but it'll be very interesting to see if this amounts to anything and the response, if it does get a response, whether it be on an international or possibly a smaller scale, that's what I feel it might get. But
Yeah.
more importantly, if this evolves into anything more besides just we want to make a case due to illegalness on the British government's end. So yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be the thing that I'd be kind of more curious to kind of see what this amounts to, if anything.
Yeah, I'm looking on their website and I don't see anything. So this is Britain owes Palestine, I think is the campaign. Here's their petition or whatever, right? So let's do this. So group Palestinians live shape of these events. There's 400 pages of this, so like probably not gonna fucking read through it, but let's do the summary of the petition. How about that? Occupation, repression, abandonment, and partition. 7 requests. Here we go. Consider the petition together with the evidence on which it is based in accordance with the government's commitments to reevaluate evidence of moral and unlawful wrongdoing. Conduct a search for any remaining documents. Yep.
Do you mind zooming in for our audience? There we go.
Conduct a search for any remaining documents, evidence, and information not yet released into the UK National Archives that support the claims of the petition. Make them publicly available and take them into account. Reach a view on the petition that is consistent with frankness, transparency, and candor. Respond to it. Acknowledge the wrongful acts. Provide an official public apology in the form of a statement read by the House of Commons by the Prime Minister. Investigate in good faith what forms of accountability, reparations, satisfaction, investment in the Palestinian people and the state of Palestine are appropriate. So, like, they're mainly going to try and figure that out, I guess, during this, petition.
Right, but it seems like they're putting. But it seems like, and again, we have to look at this a little closer. But from what I'm seeing right now, it seems like they're putting all the pressure on Britain to actually do something.
Yeah.
Which we know they're not going to.
Right.
So, like, what are you demanding from this? Like,
yeah,
that's why not necessarily hearing, like, so now granted, I want to give them some grace. This is probably in the early stages.
Yep.
So, I think in a way, it's just a way to kind of make noise against the ongoing genocide that's happening, that there's actually some movement in something, anything towards the Palestinian cause, which I kind of understand. But also it kind of seems like this is a decision that's made by a very few people. This should be somewhat of an issue that the Palestinian community worldwide, not just limited in the UK, should have a stake in. So it'd be very interesting to see if this kind of broadens out.
Well, they got some contacts. We might reach out and see. If you're watching, feel free to get back with us. We're happy to talk about it.
Right.
But yeah, like definitely some more concrete demands I feel like are useful.
Right.
You know, more than just public apologies from figureheads would be great. I mean, essentially they're saying like it needs to be discussed.
Also,
and it's like,
I would also argue, like, if you're gonna include the Palestinian community, include other oppressed groups as well.
From
like,
that region
South
too.
Africans. Right.
Syrians.
Include South Africa. You know, like include Black people in this. Like, you know, I think it will make a lot more traction in my mind if it's shown like, oh no, it's not just exclusive to Palestinians. And I always say that because, especially as a Black person, and this is what I've been kind of saying this whole time, like, if you make the case for reparations, which is why they're probably not going to touch it, but if you make the case for Palestinians to have reparations, it's just going to bring more of a cause for Black people in terms of reparations for us.
Sure.
So I think especially for Black Americans who are pushing for reparations, you know, this is maybe an instance where you should kind of get on board with what's happening, even though, as I said, it's in the early stages, so that they can kind of see, or at least governments can kind of see, oh, this is not just limited just to a few people who happen to, you know, be in higher up authority, that they're able to do this. This can be potentially something that an overwhelming majority of people worldwide can see, you know. So whether they're thinking that far ahead, I don't think so, but it is a good thought experiment to think about.
That's the thing for me. They're calling for an investigation in good faith. I would definitely make sure that you've got some, like, you know, lead time on this information. Like, have your arguments ready and already out, you know? Like, be working on that too, about what that accountability, reparation, and satisfaction should be like. You know, you need to have a bar to bargain with, you know? So and like set that bar as high as possible, you know? So because they're gonna try to work you down from that, so you might as well like send it to the moon, you know? So
well, in this region, well, just generally the Global South, they should know how to barter. So
you would think
don't start with the middle.
No.
Or the compromise position. You go to the extreme and then go to the middle. Not you'd start from the compromise and work your way down from it. That's what we do here. So
agreed.
But yeah, I think it would be definitely a story we should follow. And if we're able to connect with any one of these people to kind of think about like their thought process about this and how, if they want to expand it. But I think, as you said, more importantly, what are your demands? Then I think it could be a worthwhile interview
for sure
to have with any one of these people who are associated with this petition. So yeah, we'll do our best. And if you guys, you know, once we clip it out, assuming these people are on Twitter, share it out to them, we would love to have that conversation, you know, with them in terms of this and how they feel like they can actually obtain this for the Palestinian people. And, you know, but should be interesting.
I agree. Well, talking about this sort of stuff definitely gets you demonetized on YouTube. So scan that QR code on your screen or go to ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. Leave us a little donation and let us keep doing what we're doing. But otherwise, if you're one of the poors like ourselves and would still like to help, like and subscribe. You should know to do that already. Hit the share button. It's literally the only way this stuff gets seen to new people. We are heavily shadow banned, but you know, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. What demands would you like to see on this petition? But otherwise, thanks for watching.